Hello everyone, it's Lawrence22 here, and with the new game Shadow of Mordor coming out in about a week, I thought it'd be a good idea to take a look at the history of Gondor, which may help set the scene for the game, or it'll just be like, I don't know, a lore fest for anyone who likes Tolkien's Middle-earth. Anyway, let's begin. So, towards the end of the Second Age of the Sun, Elendil and his sons Isildur and Anarion escaped the destruction of their home Numenor and sailed to Middle-earth. Elendil founded the northern kingdom of Arnor, while Isildur and Anarion founded its twin kingdom Gondor in the south. It was decided that Isildur's heirs would rule Arnor, and Anarion's heirs would rule Gondor, with Elendil being High King of the realms in exile. The Numenorians were renowned masons, and built many great cities in Gondor, like Osgiliath, the kingdom's original capital, as well as the twin cities Minas Anor and Minas Ithil, meaning Tower of the Sun and Tower of the Rising Moon respectively, and which would both be later renamed as Minas Tirith and Minas Morgul. All three of these cities, as well as many other of Gondor's holds, housed the Palantir, or Seeing Stones, which Elendil brought from Numenor, and allowed instant communication between these places. However, after only 8 years after the founding of Gondor, the city of Minas Ithil was captured after a year-long siege by the forces of Sauron. The white tree, which was originally in this city, was burned, but Isildur escaped with a sapling, which he then planted in Minas Anor. The city was later retaken by Anarion, and this act of aggression was one of the key factors that prompted the formation of the last alliance of men and elves, which eventually overthrew Sauron, marking the end of the Second Age. I'm not going to go into the depth of the last alliance, because it's quite vast, but I will say that Anarion, however, died in the Siege of Barad-dûr. In the first millennium of the Third Age, Gondor's power grew and the kingdom prospered. At the height of its power, it built fortifications such as Isengard, and the fortress that would later become known as Helm's Deep for the defence of its borders, as well as performing feats of engineering such as the Argonath, the statues of Isildur and Anarion that the Fellowship see after leaving Lothlorien. Gondor was so prosperous at this time that there was a saying, "In Gondor, precious stones are but pebbles for the children to play with." Gondor also built fortifications such as the Tower of the Teeth overlooking the Black Gate, and Cirith Ungol to guard the passages into Mordor and to keep watch against evil. However, Gondor's golden age wasn't destined to last. In the Third Age, 1432, a civil war called the Kinstrife tore the nation apart. The newly anointed King Eldacar, who was not of purely Numenorian blood, for his mother was from the northern tribe of Rhovanion, and so many in Gondor didn't believe Eldacar had the right to rule. Gondor's Admiral Castamere led the rebellion which destroyed Osgiliath and forced Eldacar to flee to Rhovanion and took the throne for himself. Osgiliath's great bridge was destroyed and its Palantir lost in the battle, and after that point Castamere was known as Castamere the Usurper. A decade later, Eldacar returned with a Rhovanian army at his back and reclaimed the throne. However, the war resulted in a huge loss of strength in Gondor, especially since many with pure Numenorian blood were killed. The Great Plague in Third Age 1636 was the second great disaster to affect Gondor, but also large swathes of Middle-earth. Osgiliath was the hardest hit, and the white tree growing in Minas Anor was killed. The kingdom of Rhovanion, which was a strong ally of Gondor after the Kinstrife, was devastated as more than half of its population was killed. This huge loss of life meant men were recalled from the fortifications around Mordor and from Minas Ithil, leaving only a skeleton crew behind. Gondor's capital was also moved at this time from Osgiliath to Minas Anor. Roughly 200 years later, a tribe of Eastlings known as the Wainriders attacked the west and completely overrun Rhovanion, after which they turned their attention to Gondor itself. Over the course of about a century, the Wainriders killed 2 Gondorian kings and conquered all the lands east of the river Anduin, before finally being defeated in Third Age 1944. Most of Gondor's military strength was expended fighting the Wainriders. It was soon after this point that the line of Gondorian kings failed. The northern kingdom of Arnor had been completely destroyed by the Witch King of Angmar. The heir to Gondor, Eomer, led a vast Gondorian army which joined up with the elves of Lindon and Rivendell, as well as the remnants of the northern Dunedain. This mighty host met with the Witch King in battle, and utterly destroyed his forces and the kingdom of Angmar. During the battle, the Witch King challenged Eomer, but Eomer's horse was too scared and wouldn't go near the Witch King, allowing him to escape. Eärnur was eager to pursue, but was stopped by the elf lord Glorfindel, who had realised that the Witch King was none other than the Lord of the Nazgul, right hand of Sauron. Glorfindel prophesied that not by the hand of men shall he fall, a prophecy which would be proved true centuries afterwards. After the fall of Angmar, the Witch King had been commanded by Sauron, who still hadn't revealed himself after his defeat at the Last Alliance, to return to Mordor and prepare for his arrival. In the Third Age 2000, the 9 Nazgul attacked and captured Minas Ithil, and from that point on the city became known as Minas Morgul, the Tower of Sorcery, and Minas Anor was renamed to Minas Tirith, the Tower of the Guard. From Minas Morgul the Witch King taunted the now King Eärnur, saying he was a coward to not have faced him before. Eärnur took the bait and rode to Minas Morgul, from which he never returned. Since no one knew if the king was dead, and since no claimant had enough support, it was decided, to avoid a second kin strife, that from this point on the line of stewards would rule over Gondor until the rightful king returned. At this point of time, toward the end of the Third Age, Gondor was just a shadow of its former glory, having had most of its military power spent and missing a king. In the Third Age 2510, Gondor faced another great Eastling invasion. Gondor's army was cut off from Minas Tirith and were overwhelmed. The Eastlings greatly outnumbered the Gondorians, and the situation looked bleak until Earl the Young arrived with 7,000 riders and hundreds of mounted archers, which turned the tide of the battle. For Earl's help, he and his people were awarded lands in the northern part of Gondor, in which Earl founded the Kingdom of Rohan. And since that time on, Gondor and Rohan had been strong allies. So yeah, that's been a brief overview of Gondor. If you'd like me to go further into depth into anything I've mentioned here, such as Numenor, or if you'd like me to explore any other topics, comment below and I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, I'm planning on doing a Shadow of Mordor playthrough as soon as that game's released. So if you're interested in that, or you're interested to see more of these videos, please like, favourite, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.